So this video is going to cover a few select problems from the practice to kind of try to help get you jump started if you're feeling a little stuck. All right, so the problems we're going to be going over is we're going over numbers 1, 4, and then we will go over 7 and 11. Okay, and we'll try to get them all in one video. So number 1, when you multiply, right, with a basic problem like this where you're multiplying, there's no parentheses, you don't have any powers of powers or anything going on. You just got to remember that you add your exponents, right? You have to add your exponents. And when you're adding your exponents, right, the big thing is just to make sure you know what they are, right? So you see 5 here, what a lot of people will be like, well, I don't see an exponent there, so it's just going to be equal to m to the 5. But if you think about it, that doesn't make any sense because m to the 5 means that there's 5 m's, right? That's what it means. Okay? And we've already got that covered there. So aren't you adding another m on? So if you see that, please, correct yourself and say, oh no, that doesn't make sense. Because this is actually m to the 1 times m to the 5. And so what you do is you add your exponents. You go 1 plus 5 because this is, this is 1m right here. And then this is 5m's like we had drawn out before, right? So that's what this is, right? So you've got 1 here and you've got 5 here and you add them up and you have a total of 6. Right, so it's m to the 6th power, which we can get just from adding the exponents and not going through all this, right? So the whole idea is to give you guys a shorter, more direct route. All right, now we're taking a power, right? A power of a product, right? So you're going to apply this 2 to each term inside. So this is going to be the same, and you apply it by multiplying it, all right? So this is going to be the same as negative 3 and then 1 times 2, because if there is no exponent there, you put a 1 there. You assume that there's a 1, right? So technically there would be a 1 here and there would be a 1 here. They just don't write that. But that's how we think about it. So you have that for your negative 3, and then your p is p to the 1 times 2. Another way to think about it, if you get really confused with that, is just if it says, hey, you're doing this and you're doing this twice, right? Just write it out twice. And then hopefully, and then just rearrange it. So then just say, okay, well, if I have that, let's put my negative 3's by each other. And then let's put my p's by each other. And if I do that, hopefully you realize negative 3 times negative 3 is 9, and then you have 2 p's, so it's p squared. Right? So, but again, you can get that in a much more direct route by doing it this way, right? Because negative 3 to the 1 times 2 is negative 3 squared, and then p to the 1 times 2, all right, is 2. And then we just got to simplify that, and that's just negative 3 times negative 3. So they both get you to the same place. It's just a matter of how much work do you want to spend doing that. All right, the other two. A little trickier. All right, this one, we don't have any powers of anything happening other than what's already in this 3 is just acting on the h. This 7's only acting on the h. So let's write this without the parentheses for a second. Okay, and then let's move my numbers by each other. So we have negative 4, and then I'm going to write these like this, times negative 5. And remember, if they're in parentheses and you put them right next to each other, it's kind of implied that they are multiplying. And then we have 3 h's here, so times h to the 3rd, and then times h to the 7th. And so do what we know how to do with numbers, which is multiply them. Negative 4 times negative 5 gives you positive 20. And then for these, you have 3 h's, you're multiplying them by 7 h's, right? Multiplying together, so you add the exponents. So this is going to be h to the 3 plus 7, which is h to the 10th power. All right, and then number 11, we're going to wind up doing this, but first we have to deal with that, right? So we have, I'm going to just write this a little bigger so we can show this. We got negative 2x squared to the 3rd power. So that means we're going to have negative 4 to the third power because my exponent's 1. 1 times 3 is 3. X to the third power for the same reason that negative 4 was to the third, because it's 1 times 3. And then y to the third power, again, for the same reasons, times negative 2 to the third power, right, because we're applying this to everything. Negative 2 to the third power, and then x times x to the 2 times 3, right? And 2 times 3 is 6. So there you go. Now let's move numbers by numbers and variables by variables. So we're going to have negative 4 to the third times negative 2 to the third times x to the third times x to the sixth. And then we have our y to the third off on the end. It looks like I took care of everything. Okay, so let's do this first. Well, negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4. You got negative times a negative is positive, and then a positive times a negative, so that gives you a negative result. 4 times 4 is 16, and 16 times 4 is 64. So we have negative 64. And then negative 2 to the third power is negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, which is negative 8, because negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. So here's what we got. And then let's combine my x's. And this is going to be x to the ninth because it's 3 plus 6. Okay, and then y to the third. Now let's just multiply this together. This is going to give me positive because it's a negative times a negative. 512 x to the ninth, y to the third. And hopefully this helps you guys. All right, so just make sure you're trying on these. And if you need a little extra help from your teacher or whatever, just make sure to ask. We are here for that purpose. Okay, so use it. So good luck. And yeah, we'll see you on the next lesson.